Welcome to your Daily 5 for Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. I don't think this happened on the show. I think this happened right after we stopped recording last week. But Lando, amazingly, found the movie that I'm going to be reviewing today, a Lucio Fulci film of all things. Yes, Lando found this, not me, but he happened to find this movie. I think he was looking up something related to the movie that we watched, Sweets from a Stranger, and he somehow stumbled into this. But the movie is from 1989. It is titled The House of Clocks, and it is a TV movie that apparently was part of a series of films. Lando found that as well, that we both watched together. So we did another thing where we were basically both watching the movie, did a commentary to it, and we'll be talking about it in detail on Friday. Because this is an interesting movie in terms of it leaves a lot for you to try to work out, which I am delighted by. I don't know what Lando's thoughts are, but we'll find out on Friday. I mean, I think he had a good time with it based on us watching it together, but what he thinks of the kind of mysteries and the unanswered questions that are left, yeah, I'll be interested to see what he thinks about it, because there's quite a bit to unravel and try to figure out. And the interesting part is this was part of a series of TV movies. It sounds like it was some kind of anthology idea, but they're not really related. So they're part of the same series, more or less, but the same characters do not appear to cross over. The stories do not appear to continue or start or anything like that. It's almost like a Twilight Zone type of situation, but for TV films. Interestingly, I read that Fulci was really happy with this movie. And I can understand why. It's a well-shot movie. And there are those Fulci kind of signature moments to it, which I didn't tell Lando about until we actually started watching the movie. They are there, but this is definitely not a kind of traditional horror movie. This is more of I don't even know how to really describe it. The synopsis gives away certain plot elements, but I won't reveal them here. There is some type of, I don't even know if supernatural is the right word for it, but it definitely is not just a grounded, straightforward film. Whether you interpret some of these things as science fiction or supernatural is the more interesting element. I think you could interpret them either way, depending on what you want to see in the movie. But I really enjoyed it because as it got towards the end, I really feel like the movie asks you to figure out what you're seeing and interpret it. And I don't mind that. I've said that before. I don't mind a movie that doesn't feel like it has to answer every question. And there are big elements of this movie that I think suggest an answer, but don't concretely state it. And that, when it's done properly, makes for a fun movie to watch and discuss. And I think it was actually an ideal movie for the two of us to watch and then talk about in detail on Friday, because I don't know that I saw the same things that Lando did, or at least I don't know that I'm interpreting them the same way that Lando is. And I think that's when a movie that is ambiguous works best, is when it actually allows you to have your own explanations that can function. And it allows you to kind of talk to other people about it and see what they thought and see what their kind of lens on it was. It's a very well shot movie. It's got some awful dubbing, because clearly the people in it were speaking different languages. I mean, you can just see it. Some were speaking English and then were dubbed in English. Some were clearly speaking a different language and then it's dubbed in English, so it does not match at all. I think Lando doesn't have a lot of experience with that outside of Godzilla films, so he was very, very charmed by it. I'm so used to it, I don't even notice it necessarily. I actually notice it more when the dubbing lines up with how they're clearly speaking, the language that they're speaking in. But I think it's a fascinating film. It was on archive.org, so you can go and watch it. Now, the copy that we watched, this has a long kind of preambling set of videos to it. It's labeled as a watch party video, so I think the stuff that's in front of it is meant as kind of a grindhouse, here's a series of trailers for weird stuff in front. We didn't go through all that. We just watched the core film, but it is there. If you see, I'll link to it, that copy. But you can watch it. It looks like it's probably a VHS rip. It's not the best quality. I don't know that this exists in a great copy. I didn't really look, but since it was on archive, we watched it. And that commentary, I think I'll make it available on our Patreon if you're interested, because we did have a good time with it. I think, again, this is a really good film to watch with somebody that you want to kind of discuss it with, because it does leave a lot of questions unanswered. It's again, well shot. You can see Fulci's influences in it, but it is a very different Fulci film from what I'm used to. So again, 1989, House of Clocks. I'll link to where you can watch it. Interesting movie. It'll leave you kind of thinking about some of the stuff that you'll see later.